Hey folks, I'm Redbeard with Softboy Social Club, and I want to talk about this Friday, May 1st, which is a very important holiday around the globe. Now, some of my American viewers might have just scrubbed through their calendars and couldn't really figure out what the hell I'm talking about. And that's okay, I'm going to explain that. And I'm also going to explain why we think you should sit this one out. Get it? Because I'm sitting now. And I said to sit this. F you, it's funny! May Day is a very important holiday around the world. Unfortunately, many people inside the USA don't know anything about that outside of May Day being screened when you're on a rapidly crashing vehicle. Okay, so there might be some correlation there. May 1st is International Labor Day. Now, a lot of you in the USA are probably saying, so what? Our Labor Day is in September. It wasn't always that way. So why does the rest of the world celebrate on May 1st? It actually started in the USA. It started with the USA May Day strikes, which culminated in the Haymarket Fair. Now, let me start off by saying I'm not a historian. And this is an extremely oversimplified account of events. On May 1st in 1886, workers across the USA began striking. It's estimated between 300,000 to 500,000 workers went on strike during this time. Now, something to think about is this is when the population was 6 times smaller than what it is now. I mean, could you imagine right now if 500,000 people went on strike? Let alone 6 times that? This all came to a head in Chicago, which was kind of the epicenter of the strike, with about 30 to 40,000 people in just one city striking alone. Now, up to now, strikes had been overall nonviolent. That is, on the worker side at least. Company owners had been sending in thugs, including police officers, to intimidate and beat workers in order to break their will. Most notably of this was the Pinkerton Detective Agency, which was known for their brutality and for infiltrating workers' unions to undermine them. These are bosses, hiring hitmen to beat and kill their own workers. So, if you think your company cares about you and that you're a family, think about what they would gladly do if they could get away with it. This all culminated in a very large protest in Haymarket Square in Chicago, where a bomb exploded, killing police and strikers. The police responded by opening fire on the strikers. This became known as the Haymarket Affair, or Haymarket Massacre. Police and the US government and even many media outlets blamed local anarchist strikers for the bombing, and even tried 8 anarchist strikers and sentencing 7 of them to death, even though there was plenty of evidence of the Pinkertons actually infiltrating and posing as workers to set off the bomb themselves. By the way, the Pinkertons? They're still around and active. So what were the workers striking for in the first place? Well, let's take a look at their motto. 8-hour day with no cut in pay. Before this, working 12-hour days, 7 days a week was standard. Yeah, so the whole 8-hour workday thing, they started that. Still think strikes are useless? So why did they change it in the USA to September? Because of strong ties to worker uprising and socialism, the US government decided that in 1894 they were going to move it to September, almost as far away as possible from the original date. And this worked immensely well. I mean, think about it. What did you do last Labor Day? Barbecue? Sleep in? Now, you deserve to do that, but I bet you weren't thinking about workers' rights. They've done everything they can to strip you of your power, even the knowledge of your power. But now, with the pandemic and a second recession looming, we're facing a time where workers simply can't rely on their pacification. Now is a historic time, whether you want it to be or not. And we have a powerful opportunity right now. People are sitting out and staying at home already by de facto. People are not paying the rent because they can't. It's time that we start taking back this history and this power that's been taken away from us. Okay, so now what can we do? Well, it's already started. Workers across the country are recognizing their unfair treatment. I mean, so many strikes have grown since the pandemic started. We're talking Amazon, Whole Foods, McDonald's, sanitation workers, Target, Instacart, Purdue, Burger King, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, Subway, Popeyes, Domino's. There's so many. Now, did you notice that many of those are food industry employees? That's because they're being called essential employees. And for sure, their work is very important. But these people labeled as essential workers are being forced to work without hazard pay, sick time, safety equipment, or risk losing their jobs. And they're getting pissed off. And you should too. But that doesn't mean just tell everyone you're going on strike by yourself and walk out. Remember that the original strikers were highly organized, and you need to get organized too. So how do you go about doing that? The first step would probably be going to your union if you're in one. If you're not, you should see about joining one. Otherwise, you can join the IWW, which is the Industrial Workers of the World, which is one big union. Basically, any worker who's not a boss or a capitalist can join this union. They're full of information and work groups. They have tons of stuff to help you get started. Also, you can join other activist orgs and mutual aid networks like Corona Strike, the Black Socialists in America, Food Not Bombs, the John Brown Gun Club, Socialist Rifle Association, Student Mutual Aid Network, tenant unions, plus the hundreds of local networks that are around every state. I'll put a description to a great list of those broken down by state in the description. You can also reach out to the org that I work with, ginstrike.org. We're connecting people with these different organizations and providing information and training about how to get active. So please send us an email at www.ginstrike.org, or even if you want to get involved with us, we're always looking for more people. And many of these organizations also have training courses to help you get set up and start helping others as well into getting organized and start making dual power structures and collectivizing. The important thing to take away here is to not try and tackle all of this alone. Our motto at Ginstrike is do not act alone. Imagine if you saw someone at your workplace just stand up and yell, "Yo, I'm on strike! Peace out!" You know how much that's going to achieve? Not a damn thing. You need to be prepared and you need to get organized. So May 1st is right around the corner and you can't get organized that quickly. That's okay. May 1st is just the beginning. We are working on a strategy of every first, which is every first of the month, we plan actions and they continue through the month. Different organizations can fight when they can and change off to other organizations when they can't. This allows us to build momentum. You know, it isn't forced into an all or nothing single date that a lot of movements in the past have kind of fallen prey to. And it allows for planning and evolution as it grows. We can change up our tactics. We can start doing what's necessary as we grow. This is not a spontaneous movement. So even if you can't participate in a general workers' strike, what can you do? Is there anything else you can do? Absolutely. There's tons you can do. And a lot of it's actually quite passive and doesn't take a whole lot of effort. The first thing that many are asking for is to not buy anything on May 1st. And following every first after that. Show solidarity with striking workers by putting pressure on companies' earnings. And don't buy anything means anything. No food, no toiletries, no online purchases, no services, no travel, nothing. I know that's not easy. It's not easy for me either, but plan ahead and you'll be able to go just one day without buying anything. Plus, saving money is kind of awesome. Another thing you can do is show solidarity with striking workers. You can wear symbols like putting a white flag outside of your window, or you can wear something to show solidarity. A lot of people are using stop sign imagery. You can use just a plain stop sign or something like I support striking workers, or don't buy things on May 1st, things like that. We actually have some of those made up. You can check the description to download those, print them out, make patches, flags, whatever you want to do. When you're showing solidarity like this, you want to be as blatant as you can get away with. So, of course, not everyone can have something completely blatant like I'm going on strike. We're not looking to get you fired. But even the most subtle sign can still help. Another thing you can do is signal boost others. The press is barely covering this. So we've got to be our own press. There are tons of things going around in the world, but striking workers is one of the biggest things that can make the biggest impact, but you're not going to see it mass covered on any media outlets because they know the implications. I mean, their own employees might start to go on strike. So we've got to do it for us. If you hear about a strike or action, share about it. Start talking with others, share on social media, in person, and make more people aware of what's going on. Another thing you can do is if you're financially secure, you can donate to these mutual aid networks. Most of these workers, including myself, that are helping out with these organizations are doing it pro bono. We're not making anything off of that, so the money that comes in usually most of it goes directly to actual aid, buying supplies, medical equipment, medical supplies, getting food, getting things out to people who need it. Another thing that's been very effective that a lot of people have kind of had to do by default is a rent strike. Rent strikes are when a lot of tenants get together and tell their landlord they're simply not going to pay right now because it's unfair and there's no way they can possibly do it. Again, don't act alone. Don't just go to your landlord and say you're not paying rent. That's a good way to get evicted. But if a large number of tenants get together, they kind of don't have much leeway to say no. And many people are already doing this, even if they didn't really plan to at first. In March, only 69% of US renters paid rent, which is pretty nice. Many aren't paying rent already, so why not use this as an act for a fairer future? Talk with other tenants. Make a letter telling them you're not going to pay, be polite about it, and tell them you will update them as things unfold in the future. You need to keep control of this. There is a template in the description that you can use to fill out and have your other tenants sign with you. You can also start to form a tenant union, which is a group that starts to meet and make actions to collectively bargain for things like this. You can contact other tenant unions around you to figure out how to start these. And continuing with not making payments, you can also look into a debt strike, which I think is very powerful. I mean, the average American has about $6,000 in credit card debt, not including student debt, and they have less than $1,000 in the bank at any given time. I mean, think about all of your current debt. Do you think you deserve that mountain on your back? I mean, are you just some horrible person? Chances are no. And sure, yes, you borrowed it, but do you deserve to have that mountain facing you at all times just because you wanted a roof over your head or an education that's required for almost any decent paying job these days anyways? And these companies are not looking out for your best interest at all. The federal government has put a stop on making payments for student loans right now during the pandemic, but I got my letter from my student loan agency letting me know that they will still be accruing interest during this time. So they're still going to get theirs. So if you can't pay it, don't pay it. Yes, there are risks, I know, but at the end of the day, food comes first. So if you're afraid to officially announce you're going on strike, but you still want to put pressure on your company, something you can do is a sick out. A sick out is, well, obviously where a lot of workers call in sick. Again, organize, get together, don't act alone on this. One good thing about a sick out is it leaves a certain level of plausible deniability, where you can say, well, look, we were just all sick. And it makes it a little harder for your boss to actually retaliate against you. Even if you have sick leave, I say use it if your other workers are going on strike. Use it to show solidarity and put pressure on your companies. But just remember to coordinate with your other workers and not just go in on it alone. So even if you don't think you can get yourself prepared in time, this isn't a one-time thing. Do as much as you can to get ready, and in the meantime, you can start doing some of these actions as much as you feel secure in doing to help build the movement. Move at the speed of trust is something I like. Move at what you see other people doing. Move at what you feel comfortable and trusting yourself to get done. It's a marathon, not a sprint. 8-hour workday, that did not happen on May 1st. The 8-hour workday didn't become an official federal law until 1916. But May Day is where it started. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't seem like we're tearing down the walls on the first go round. Just keep picking at it and keep working at it and join with others, and the momentum will build. And you'll be amazed at how good it feels to be working on something bigger than yourself. Again, I don't get paid to work with GenStrike, but it is immensely rewarding. It's one of the most important things I think I've ever done in my life. It's scary, I know. And these are scary times. These are also unprecedented times. And they're never going to go back to the way they were. They were already pretty shitty, but that's gone now. Either we can work to make it better, or we can let it become dramatically worse. But we've got to do it together. The more you try to live like they want you to live, the more ground you're going to cede. We've been thrust into this new world, and there's no getting out of it. Either we take control of it and change it for the better, or allow the ruling elites to change it for themselves at our expense. That's our choices. I started off this video by telling you to sit this one out. It was kind of a lie, right? Don't sit this one out. Get active. Sit out from your work, but don't just lay back and let whatever happens, happens. Because if you do that, it's going to be worse. Get active, get involved, reach out to everyone around you. Do not act alone.
We want to draw attention to Amazon, draw attention to what they're doing really, and we did just that. Today was a success. Today was a win for us.
Hey folks, I hope I wasn't too rambly on this one. During these times, I really want to thank all of my Patreon supporters. They keep me afloat right now, and I could not keep making this channel without you. Usually I just put everyone up in alphabetical order because I'm not a fan of hierarchies. But some of my supporters are really generous, and I feel like I should definitely give them a shout out. I really want to thank Intrepid Panda. You've helped me out so much. Travis Ard, Ryan Borja, Michaela Schmidt, Yevon Arba, John Carmack, Lauren Skaka, some of you guys. Please let me know if I'm screwing up your names. Lauren Sakax, Sapphire Rose, Jackie, EB, thank you so much. And thank all of my supporters so much. Usually my Patreon supporters get these videos a day early, but because of the time constraints, I really want to get this out immediately. If you'd like to support Softboy Social Club and make sure I can keep making these videos as well, you can go to patreon.com/softboysocialclub, click the little link there, and you can put money on me, and I will use it to buy things to make these videos. I'll also use them to make food and eat it, and I will think of you every time I chew. You can also help me out by clicking the little notification bell and subscribe at the bottom, and maybe give it a like and a share. All of these things really help me out. Thanks, folks. You're amazing.